kilts, clans, and Scotch. In today's episode, I'm going to be telling you all the things that Americans tend to say that make Scottish people cringe just a wee bit. That's coming right up after this. Hello everybody, how are you doing? And welcome to today's episode of the vlog. My name is Shaun and I'm a YouTuber from Edinburgh in Scotland, and right here on my channel I talk all about Scottish culture and connecting that with people from all around the world who might have Scottish ancestry, for example. And right now we are celebrating Scottish American Heritage Month. April 2019, apparently that's Scottish American Heritage Month, and there's like 30 million people in America with Scottish ancestry. I think it's amazing, a lot to celebrate. Now I know there are awesome Scottish communities around the world in places like Canada, New Zealand, Australia that I also want to get into one day and discuss and really find out about, but right now I am focused on finding out content about America because it's just a really broad, interesting area. And I actually went to America with the US Embassy to the UK just over a year ago now, on what was an absolutely life-changing experience that made me absolutely fall in love with American culture and really want to know more. So that is why I'm covering this. It's about sharing Scotland, it's about connecting that to the world, and it is great to have you all here. And listen, if you are new, thank you so much for joining in. It is great to have you here. Please do not forget, you need to hit the red subscribe button down in the bottom corner, and then you will be connected permanently. You will be family from here on in. Have you done it? Of course you have. Right, Scottish American culture. Yesterday I did a vlog all about the kind of mismatch in the expectations that people, especially from America, seem to have when they come to Scotland about how we are and about how our society is set up and all that kind of stuff. Today's vlog is like a continuation of that. It's like a two-part episode on the same theme, but yesterday I think was really important to watch because it gives you the wider context about how Scotland, and then people with Scottish ancestry in North America, how our branches of Scottishness, if you like, spread apart. They almost evolved in separate directions. And a lot of the things I'm talking about now, they are definitely tongue-in-cheek. In this episode, I'm going to be giving you 10 things that make Scottish people cringe when American people come to Edinburgh and Scotland and say certain things to us. It makes us cringe a lot, right? But please note, I'm saying it in tongue-in-cheek. It's not that serious, okay? We are a very difficult bunch here in Scotland to actually properly offend. You might get some funny looks with some of the things you might end up saying here. So I think this video is just kind of useful, but also funny. Don't take it too seriously. Yesterday when I said in the title, Scottish people might reject Americans, what I actually mean is they'll reject the image that sometimes you might have of us. That's all, okay? But given what I talked about in yesterday's episode, there are some definite truths to it, alright? Okay, the 10 things that I think we need to discuss that a lot of people tend to say in Scotland that make us cringe as Scottish people, okay? Just a little bit, we're like, did I just hear that? Is that right? Can I unhear it? It just makes us kind of like curl up into a ball of cringe and like want to explode a little bit. And guys, I'm going to say it, I've saved the best, funniest, and most real ones till the end, so you're going to want to watch this video until the end. Let's do it. Number one, I just want to jump right in there and get an elephant in the room out there, okay? The whole kilt thing. And a lot of people around the world have exactly the same assumptions when they come to Scotland, that we are all wearing kilts, we all wear no underwear under our kilts, and why are people not wearing kilts, basically, when they come to Scotland? And like, that's the thing a lot of people don't really realise and appreciate. And I know in North America it's different, because when you guys have Scottish ancestry, you like to wear your kilts as often as possible, even in everyday life sometimes. But we really do not in Scotland. In fact, you will struggle to see kilts sometimes in Scotland. Most people that I know here in Scotland, we will wear kilts only for special occasions. And don't get me wrong, we love kilts, okay? We love kilts in Scotland, but they're not for everyday use. They are for special occasions only. A wedding is a very good example of an occasion that we would wear a kilt. Formal events, you know, maybe once or twice in a year type of events that we'll get our kilt out. If I think to the times I've recently worn a kilt, I wore one for my wedding. I wore one to my best mate's wedding here in Scotland. I also took my kilt to the launch of Outlander Season 4 last year in New York. I think over the next 2 days, and this Saturday is actually Tartan Day in America, and there is massive parades in New York with lots of people going to be wearing kilts. I wish I was there, but unfortunately I couldn't save up in time for that event, but hopefully next year I'll be there. So that's it. You'll come to Scotland, you'll expect to see a lot of kilts, and you might be disappointed if that's what you want to see. Unless you come to the Edinburgh Military Tattoo, in which case you will see a lot of kilts. Generally speaking, you won't see kilts. So let me be clear, kilts do exist, we are quite proud of them, but we just don't wear them very often. Number 2, Americans tend to ask us if we know their mate from Scotland, John Smith, or maybe Tam or Jock or something like that would have been a better name for me to choose. any random name you can think of, right? I think it's because Scotland's small and everybody expects that everybody knows everybody here. We've got just over 5 million people here. I know it's not that many, but it's big enough that we're not going to all know each other. So because you guys might know or have a friend or a cousin who lives in Edinburgh, chances are I won't know who they are. But we get that a lot. Like a lot of people do to write to us. Not just me, but lots of other people that I know and saying, oh, I've got a friend in Edinburgh, you might know them, their name is XYZ. It just isn't the case. Number 3, a lot of people assume that Scotland is a little bit stuck in the past and remains to be a relic of, you know, the 15th century when everybody was running around with broadswords and all that kind of stuff. Now listen, you can find that. And the truth of the matter is, we have some blooming old buildings here in Scotland. Like a lot of the buildings in Edinburgh city centre were built 300, 400, 500 years ago. Really old buildings, okay? Craigmillar Castle is 500 metres away from where I live. That is an old castle, a beautiful castle. It still stands, you can go and visit it. So yes, you can find old architecture in Scotland. It's beautiful, it's amazing. Go and visit them. But modern day Scotland is just that, it's modern, right? I do argue sometimes that Scotland is a bit behind on a lot of things. And sometimes that's true and other things it's not. But generally speaking, we're a modern country. 4, telling us that Irn-Bru tastes like bubblegum flavour. It doesn't taste like bubblegum flavour, it tastes like girders. Irn-Bru is unique, it's got its own special flavour that you can't quite put your finger on. Made with girders, as I said. Does not taste like bubblegum. It does not taste like Tutti Frutti. Don't give me that, right? That is a good way to start a war. And please do not tell us you do not like it, because that is even worse. Irn-Bru is our national soft drink here in Scotland. I sent them to people in a box a couple of Christmases ago, to all the people who watch this vlog. A lot of you guys liked it, which is really, really good to hear. But as I've been over in my vlog a number of times, they actually changed the recipe last year for the first time in something like 100 years, and the taste is different, and I don't enjoy it anymore. And a lot of people here in Scotland say the same. Talk about shooting yourself in the foot, Irn-Bru. Number 5, come here and thinking it'll impress us by using Braveheart quotes and screaming randomly, freedom! Braveheart, alright? I think yesterday's video gives a bit more context as to what I'm speaking about, but people here in Scotland are pretty unconnected to Scottish history in terms of the clans and all the wars that went on. Even the Jacobite era, which was not that far back. Right, we're totally disconnected from that culture and those fights. Modern day Scotland is quite a mix of different types of people, but largely the Highland culture moved away from Scotland. Those people who are rebellious were either kicked off their land, went to North America, or were forced to go there as servants as part of their kind of jail time. Braveheart doesn't really portray that time and is also wildly inaccurate. But nonetheless, Braveheart paints a really inaccurate picture of Scotland. But as much as I'm telling you we don't like people coming and quoting Braveheart to us, we have all here secretly, this is a deep secret, secretly we have all watched it about 25 times each. And we all secretly get a wee bit emotional when it's on. But do not tell anybody that I told you that, alright? Number 6, and this one is a little bit interesting, alright? Because it happens quite a lot when people from all around the world really come here to Scotland, do this. But they attempt to speak in either a Scottish accent or worse, they use Scottish slangs when they're speaking. Your eyes and your dinny kens is one of them. That's fair enough, right? It never sounds right. It's difficult to do. And listen, I'm guilty of this because when I went to America, it rubbed off on me a little bit. I even said y'all a few times in the vlogs over the last couple of weeks. But Scottish slang is really unique to each region. Slangs that you might use in Edinburgh, you don't use in Glasgow, vice versa. It's really difficult to get those types of things correct. And even worse than that is when people come here to Scotland and give us Irish slangs, thinking that they're Scottish, right? That is really common. I think to the untrained ear, maybe Irish and Scottish people sound the same or sound as if we're using the same dialects, but it's really very different, okay? That would actually take a whole nother episode really to explain properly, and I might need to consult an Irish friend to help me out with that because it is quite complex and I'm in danger of actually just getting it all wrong myself. And number 7, following on from that, and this is another very peculiar theme that does emerge, and that is people from North America especially coming here to Scotland and quoting Gaelic to us. This is a difficult one, and I think, to be honest with you, it makes us cringe a little bit, mostly because of the fact that we don't actually speak Gaelic, and that's something a lot of people around the world are shocked with, but almost nobody in Scotland speaks Gaelic anymore. It is a language which is very unfortunately fading away slowly but surely. A very small percentage of the population in Scotland speaks Gaelic. Certainly very, very few people here in Central Belt Scotland. There are pockets of communities in the Highlands, on the west coast especially, that do speak Gaelic still, but it's a tiny, tiny percentage. Literally not a single person I know can speak a single word of Gaelic other than maybe Slanjava. The problem with Gaelic, right, is I think this is stemmed back from hundreds and hundreds of years when the British suppression really kind of took hold of Highland culture. You know, after Culloden, the British mission was to break up the clan systems, and it successfully did that. It sent most of the people over to America. It banned Tartans, for example. Clan Tartans were banned, and it also worked in a way of stamping out the language. It wanted everybody to be anglicised, and it definitely worked. Scotland today is an English-speaking country in the vast majority. The current government, the independence-backing government, have been trying to make steps to change that and to rectify that, but I don't know if they're going to win that war. Hopefully they do. Hopefully it does stay alive, but you know, it is a very, very small proportion of people here that speak Gaelic, unfortunately. But you know what? If you go back even 50, 100 years around the Second World War, there are reports in the Highlands, in some of the islands as well, even like Skye, of teachers literally telling kids and telling them off for speaking Gaelic and telling them they should actually be speaking English in school. Now, I know the purpose of that, right? Because most of those kids would end up having to move away to other places, maybe in the central belt of Scotland, but maybe even London, for example. And this is to our own personal shame here in Scotland, but Scottish people, unfortunately, don't really speak Gaelic, apart from select communities. Number 8, and this is getting to the interesting points that I told you about at the start, right? When people from America come here and ask us what our clans are, and then proceed to tell us all about their clans. I'm not sure if it's the fact that Scottish people cringe at this, or it provokes a real sense of what the hell is this all about? Because I would say like 99% of people in Scotland do not know what their clan is, do not know what their clan colours or tartans were, have no idea about it. I certainly don't have any Scooby-Doo idea what my clan tartan is, or what my clan even was. And the thing is, you guys in North America seem to have that tied down. You really know your lines and where you came from, when people in Scotland just really don't. Now, I'm generalising, of course. There are people here who do know those types of things. There are people who know their clans pretty well and have done the research, but actually the majority of people in modern Scotland, especially in the Central Belt, which is the largest population area in Scotland by far, we just don't know these things. So when someone from America comes to us and seems to know all the facts about this, we get weirded out. People here really don't know what to think about it. It's funny. And that leads me nicely on to number 9. And this is so interesting and fascinating, I find, and also funny, right? People in Scotland cringe severely when Americans come here and say that you are related directly, insert famous Scottish monarch in history. And this is something, guys, that literally hundreds of people have commented in my videos, maybe even thousands have confirmed to me that they are direct descendants of Robert the Bruce, William Wallace, Mary Queen of Scots, for example. Loads of people, and I bet in this video a lot of you guys are going to say that exact thing as well. And what makes us even more weirded out is when people tell us they're actually directly descended from more than one of these people. You know, whether that is true or not, this is something that always leaves Scottish people deeply unimpressed. And I think the first thing is, it's pretty improbable. I mean, yes, there are probably quite a lot of people who could say they're descended from these people in Scottish history. Maybe it is true, but it's diluted to such an extent that you could almost say at the same dilution that you're also related to just about everybody who's of the same ancestry. I think more that what we doubt is people who claim that a lot of these kings and queens of Scottish history are like your direct grandparent, for example. But actually, I think the crux of this story is actually something a wee bit different. Scottish people, modern Scottish people, are so unsure about their family history and lineage, and we don't know our clans, for example, which is only a couple of hundred years back. We are so unsure of all this that when we meet someone from North America who is so sure about these facts, about Scottish history, we get totally weirded out by it. People will come up to us and say with such great enthusiasm that their great-great-great-grandfather was Robert the Bruce, and we're like, literally, we don't know what to say to that. A lot of people here, in response to that, will literally just nod their head and go, aye, alright then. A little bit of a funny point in this, and I'm not definitely so dismissive of lots of people who say that, right? Because a lot of people do, and like, it might be true because you guys probably know a lot more about this than I do, for example. So I would actually love to hear in the comments down below your claims to ancestry fame. Which Scottish kings, queens, monarchs are you guys related to? I genuinely want to know. Right, number 10, and I think this is the most important point that you have waited until the end for. It's necessary that you held on to the end for this point, okay? Never, ever, ever come to Scotland and call Scottish people Scotch. Scottish people can be referred to in a few ways, some of them derogatory. Number 1 is Scottish, right? That is how we are referred to, Scottish people. Some people might also refer to us as jocks or sweaty socks. While those things are offensive, it doesn't offend us quite as much as when people refer to us as Scotch for some reason, because we just can't be Scotch, okay? The only things you could really legitimately call Scotch are, number 1, of course, Scotch whiskey. You can call whiskey Scotch if it's from Scotland. That's fair game. You could also say the jumping game, the kids' jumping game, hopscotch. That's got the word Scotch in it. And also butterscotch. All those things exist, but people in Scotland are definitely not Scotch. The number one thing bound to wind us up is that. To conclude this list, that is definitely the top thing people in Scotland cringe about when they hear other people from around the world saying it. Guys, like I said, yesterday's video provided the context to everything that I've just said, and you should really go and watch that as well if you haven't already. Love to know your thoughts on all of this. I would love to continue the conversation both on Instagram and on Twitter. You can direct message me on all of those platforms and we can keep this discussion going as well. It would be great to see you all over there. And guys, like I said in yesterday's video, I'm giving away Scottish American themed t-shirts in a brand new giveaway, and I'm giving them away to people who sign up to my brand new From Scotland to the World mailing list, right? The link to that is down below. I would encourage you all to sign up. You can win a free t-shirt, and it's a good place that I'll be giving you exclusive content and all the rest of it. The links are all down below in this video description. Guys, I want to say a big thank you to these people on the screen right now. They support me on patreon.com on the higher levels, and their support allows me to continue making this content on this channel. So thank you very much. Thank you so much for watching. Until the end, you are a legend. And until the next adventure, I hope you have a good night, morning, evening, afternoon, or whatever time of day it is wherever you are in the world. Take care.